My first area was Okayama, and Okayama is like a really big place, like really big. So it was split into two areas, but even like my side of the area was really big. It would have taken hours and hours and hours to like bike or drive the whole area. So lucky for me, I was on the like sticks side of the area, and there were only elders in the really city side of the area, so I never got to like serve in the big city part. I always felt like elders got the better end of that deal. It's really hard to describe Japanese cities to Americans because like their cities are just really different than ours. Like I feel like where I was in Okayama was probably like an equivalent of like Orem, but way bigger than Orem, you know. It's just like a much bigger city than Orem, but it was kind of like a suburb, you know. And at the same time, there were parts of it that had like rice fields and stuff like that, of course, because there are rice fields everywhere. But it was kind of like more suburban, you know, whereas like then the elders were over on the city side of it, and we were just kind of in the sprawl of Okayama. Like I said, it was really big, so we had like a lot of places we could go. We like never ran out of places to go, and I was there for 3 transfers. I was there with my trainer for 2, and then I had another companion for 1, and then that last companion and I closed our area because there were 4 sisters in the area when I left, and so we closed ours, and then there were just 2 there. So I'm actually really good at closing areas, for better or worse. So while I was in Okayama, my trainer was this girl. Her name's Brittany Howard, and she was in my freshman ward, and she actually lived like right next door to me in the freshman ward, but we weren't really friends. She's like very outgoing and very like energetic, and like I couldn't handle that. Like I liked her, but like I just couldn't handle her energy. And so I knew she was in my mission. Like I knew that's where she had gone. And then when I got to the mission home, I asked like, who are the trainers? And they said Brittany Howard. I'm like, okay, like done, you know? So it was actually really fun being her companion. She just knows how to have fun being a missionary, which is something I think I struggled with my whole mission, was like this is so fun, yay, kind of stuff. Cause it's not, you know, it's just not all the time. And it really is so much your attitude. And so you have to train yourself to have like a great time all the time. Like people who say that their missions were just like the most fun thing they ever did, I don't trust them, you know? I'm like, oh, you had a lot of fun? Were you like being obedient? Were you like following the rules? Like, what do you mean it was really fun? So I don't know, like at the beginning of my mission, I think I had the way that like everyone does, you have a really hard time. And I think Sister Howard like helped me a lot just to kind of enjoy it more and have fun with it. And I think another person who helped me a lot in that area, this woman, her last name was Hiroka, and so like in Japanese you say like sister after their name, so it's Hiroka Shimai, so Shimai's sister. So I think Hiroka Shimai, like I think everyone should start their missions in Okayama because Hiroka Shimai lives there. And she was a recent convert. My trainer had baptized her in November, and I got there whenever I got there, I don't remember, like beginning of the year. And so she was a very recent convert, but she was kind of like an interrogator, where she had like been an investigator for a really long time. And so she finally got baptized, and she like, I met a lot of really cool people on my mission, like people that I felt like were just a little bit like more in touch with God than the rest of us, you know, or people that were a little closer to heaven than I was. And I feel like Hiroka Shimai was probably the most Christ-like person I met on my mission. And like, I don't know how she did it, you know, because her life was really hard. She had a lot of really hard things that she was dealing with like all day, every day. And she just had a lot of love for the missionaries and just for anyone who walked into the church. She wanted everyone to get baptized. She could always tell when I was having a hard day, you know? She could always tell if I was sick, or if my trainer was sick, or if anyone was having a hard time, and she would bring us treats and stuff like that and do all these things. And she would just call us randomly and take us to lunch just because she felt like we needed to go to lunch that day, which we always did, you know? And, you know, you don't get taken to lunch very often in Japan. You don't get dinner appointments hardly ever. And so she was really cool just to be there to support us, you know? And when I left Okayama after my third transfer, she was telling me how she felt like when I first got to the mission, I was really like, something to the effect that I was like really sick. Like she could tell in my countenance that I was like kind of ill. And she felt like by the time I left that like there was just something different about me at that point, and that I had like livened up kind of thing. And I mean, I don't know how, like at this point I don't really remember how hard it was, you know, but like it really was like a testimony to me that like she helped me a lot, that my trainer helped me a lot, that I wasn't the same person the day that I got to Okayama that I was when I left. And I think I learned a lot while I was there, just about working hard, I think, because I think that's what I did the most of, just like go, 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 just work. And I think at the beginning of my mission, more so than at the end, I felt like in order to be a missionary, you had to suffer a lot. And so whenever I was sick or whenever I was feeling crummy, like I didn't necessarily take care of myself as much, because I was like, oh, this is a part of being a missionary. You have to have a terrible like time. Whenever you're sick, you keep going. Whenever it's so cold that you feel like every part of you is gonna fall off, you just keep going. And like later in my mission, I realized, no, if you feel like your limbs are gonna fall off, just walk into a store, like warm up, you know, like take a 10-minute break, 5-minute break, whatever it is. Like the Lord understands. But like I think I was like a lot more intense at the beginning of my mission because my trainer was kind of intense, because she was only a 4th transfer when she was my trainer, so she didn't really know what she was doing either. But it took me until like my 2nd transfer with her to realize she didn't actually know what she was doing all the time. I thought she knew everything, and her Japanese was so good. Like it was amazing to me when I was like, wait, you didn't know what that person said? I thought you knew what everyone was saying. She's like, no. Like, oh, well, you did a good job of faking it. And then she left, and I got a new companion just for 1 transfer. And so I was a 3rd transfer, and she was a 5th transfer. So we kind of had a little bit of a power struggle because neither of us knew what we were doing, but like she barely knew more than me. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like I don't know. Like I feel like we both don't know anything, so both of us are qualified to say what's going on. But she was the senior companion, so obviously she had like more reason to know, like to be able to make decisions. But I think that my 3rd transfer was maybe one of my favorites, just for the sake of like how hard we worked. And I can remember just like this one time we decided we were gonna fast the whole day to like find a new investigator. And so we got on the train and we felt like we should go to this place on the map. And so we counted how many train stations it was away on the map. We're like, okay, so on the 6th stop, we're gonna get off and we're gonna be in this place and we're gonna go knock doors. And I guess we got on the wrong train and went 6 stops in a completely different direction and got off the train, and we were in this place called Waka. I'm pretty sure it's called Waka. And so cute. It was just super quaint, this little town. It was in our area still, because our area was huge, like I said before, so like you could keep going and going and it's like, oh, we're still in our area. And so we got off in this little town and we're like, this is not where we said we were gonna get off, but whatever, let's get off here. And like in that, I think we were only there for a couple hours, because then we had to get back on the train. But we found like 4 potential investigators that day, which for us was a big deal. Like you don't ever find potential investigators, but like all these people are like, yeah, come back tomorrow, or come back next week, or come back this time. And we're like, this is the best day of our lives. And you know, as the story goes, none of those people actually got baptized or anything, but it was just like that's just how that transfer was, where it's like, okay, we're going to work really hard and we're going to put ourselves out there, and wow, this really cool thing happened, you know? And it didn't matter that the person never got baptized. It didn't matter that the next time we went back, they never opened the door. Like, that's not the point, you know? It's just that, you know, we kind of like went an extra step into a place that we weren't comfortable with, and we worked harder than we knew how to work, and like cool things happened, you know? And like incidentally, at the end of that transfer, like the last 2-ish weeks of that transfer, we did find someone who got baptized. But he got baptized a couple weeks after we transferred. So we found him just knocking doors, which again, never happens. You don't find people knocking doors very often. And I mean, I'm pretty sure that's the only time that happened to me. And he was just super ready. And that's how I decided that when he got baptized, his name was Takeshita, and I decided when he got baptized that truly and honestly, baptisms have nothing to do with the missionaries. You know, like, I didn't do anything to get Takeshita, Kyodai, brother Takeshita, to baptism so much as he was ready to be baptized, and the Lord worked on him, you know, and we were just there because the Lord couldn't go to Takeshita Kyodai's door himself. He needed us to go knock on his door. You know, it's like we were just tools in his hands, and we were a part of what he was doing. And he was a really cool guy. He's a weird guy. He's so weird and old, and I love him so much. I don't know where he is today. I don't know what he's doing right now, but I hope he's reading his Book of Mormon or something. And he was a really cool guy, and so I always counted him as one of mine just because he was my investigator and we barely missed his baptism. But he was just like this really great lesson to me that if you work really hard and you keep going, like, good things do happen. I'm not going to promise every kid who goes on a mission that if they work really hard they're going to see a baptism every transfer or at all on their missions. Like, that's not how it works, you know? Like, it's not like, oh, you work really hard and you believe in Christ and you get all these things, you know? It's just like, yeah, but like, people have their agency and you can't necessarily control who decides to get baptized or not. You can be the best missionary in the world and never baptize anyone, and I know people who didn't ever baptize anyone. But yeah, it was just a huge blessing to me to know that Heavenly Father was, I don't know, just mindful of me, and he knew what I was doing, and he cared about the people in Okayama, because we had some really hard investigators the couple transfers before that still make me sad, you know? Probably my hardest investigators were in my first couple transfers, and maybe it's because I was the first transfer, or maybe it's because they really, like, that was hard, you know? Like, I don't know. But it was really amazing to know that, yeah, like, bad things happen, but good things happen too. And working hard, that makes a huge difference, because whether you find someone or not, you know that you did everything that you could do. And that's really all that you can know at the end of your mission, is if you did everything you could do. You don't know if your investigators are going to stay active forever. You don't know if that companion really did feel something because they were your companion. And you don't know how good your emails were home or whatever it was, but you know what you did and you know how you feel. And maybe I didn't realize that at the time, but that was something that I learned just in my first area.